Glad Tidings is a Baha'i program sponsored by the Australian Baha'i community. The Baha'i faith began in 1844, bringing a new set of divine teachings including peace, unity, and service to humanity. These teachings, bestowed to us by the founders of the Baha'i faith, assist communities to work together to bring peace to the world, thus realizing an ever-advancing civilization. This program is dedicated to those efforts, which contains music,
Oh God, guide me, protect. Red broken roof tiles.
interviews,
Because, sometimes you just want a hug from your parents.
Especially your mum.
Yeah.
The
But
mummy
I think
hug.
we all were in
So
that
many
same
changes in different aspects of our life that we really haven't been able to catch up with them and adjust to all
There's
these
no
changes.
norm for marriage and many other things. So people start making their own norms.
readings,
Beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. If there is harmony in the house,
to
there will
those
be
who
order in
asked,
it.
he hath given to drink from the cup of guidance that brimmeth. News and announcements. We welcome you to Glad Tidings.
Good evening, dear listeners. You're listening to Glad Tidings here on Valley FM 89.5. My name is Masood.
And I'm Lynette.
So tonight we're having we're discussing a social issue. It's on drug addiction and how people can get help. And we've got a special guest with us tonight. Our special guest is Michael Amon from Bonaitan. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Masood and Lynette. Pleasure to be here tonight.
So before we start, we'll have a quick prayer and music, and then we'll start the program. So this prayer is from Abdul Baha. O God, refresh and gladden my spirit, purify my heart, illumine my powers, I lay all my affairs in thy hand. Thou art my guide and my refuge. I will no longer be sorrowful and grieved. I will be happy and joyful being. O God, I will no longer be full of anxiety, nor will I let troubles harass me. I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. O God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. I dedicate myself to thee, O Lord.
So let's just discuss among ourselves what we understand by addiction, more particularly about drug addiction. To me, it's an indication that you've allowed something to take over your whole life, that you can't live without something, that it informs everything that you do, every decision that you make, and it's more or less out of control. So whatever it is you're addicted to is controlling you rather than you controlling it. I don't know if that's a good description or not. What do you think,
I think you
Masood?
nailed it on the head.
Yeah, you
Maybe.
become physically dependent. It's not
Physically,
just,
exactly.
It's not just your brain saying you need this, you want this because it feels
Yeah.
good for a bit. Your whole body. Withdrawal symptoms are real.
Yes.
Those are
Physical.
Very
those
physical.
are really physical symptoms,
Yeah.
and they're very difficult. So, I agree with you, Lynette, when you're saying that you've taken these substances and you just can't stop. You can't stop. You need it. You'll do whatever you can to get it, because your body's telling yourself you need this. So we're limited by this physical state, and just as we need food, we'll also try and get these substances to bring that feeling back. And once you get used to this certain level, you want to get back to what you got that first time. So you take a little bit more, and then you just keep going more. It's like, no, I need more to get this, and then it just escalates. The only part of my question is whether or not you allow this in. There's some type of dependencies where you just don't know, and then you just become addicted anyway. Whether or not you take it with the intention to become addicted, it's like, well, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. No, that's just purely a willpower thing. So it's like, oh, I'll try it once and that'll be it. Some of these things that are out there, just you can't control.
No.
You have one, and that's it. You're done. You need another one, and you need it now.
I think probably the reasons for addiction are quite complex and
Yes.
multifactorial. So it wouldn't, it could start off as, you just do try something once, and then it will depend on maybe the social milieu that you're mixing in, or, maybe if you feel depressed, you might think, oh, I'll just have one of these and it might make me feel better for a while. But then, before you know it, you could be on that dependence thing already.
Yeah.
It's quite dangerous. I think that's why it says in the Baha'i writings that we have to practice total abstinence from any habit-forming drugs or alcohol, because abstinence is the best prevention. So it's it can be a very complex issue.
Yes.
Not easy to either understand or treat.
Yes.
So yeah.
And medical treatments they differ because every individual has a different reaction to different drugs. Some people might handle it quite well. Some people can't. Depends on your body chemistry.
And each drug itself is different.
Exactly.
So they'll produce different reactions within. So yeah, the treatments are complex.
Yeah.
So like Lynette said there, if you can practice abstinence, yeah, good job, well
Yeah,
done.
that's right.
Yes.
It just avoids the whole issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I think I did find some statistics about drug use in Australia, and it's really quite high. It has one of the highest global prevalence of cannabis use. Now, cannabis
Is that per capita?
Yep, I would think they would do it per capita.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cocaine had also increased over the 4 years up to 2012. I think heroin has gone down largely because they've cracked down on import, illicit import, obviously. So it is a problem, and it's not only a problem for the person who becomes addicted, but it has a knock-on effect with friends and family and work and so on, doesn't it? It can be
Totally.
have a really huge cost.
So it's not just the
society.
individual, it's the people around that individual. as
Yeah.
well. So there's the physical impact of addiction. How about we talk about the psychological impact
On the person?
on the person and, like we said, the family around them.
Yeah. So, Michael, you've had some personal experience of this, haven't you, with your brother?
Yeah. My brother, who was about a year younger than me, he passed away 10 years ago in April. Being about a year and 4 days apart.
Quite close.
We were, we grew up together. We were
Yeah.
we were each other's best friends. We fought quite aggressively at times, which I think my parents would attest to. But we played together all the time. He had really bright orange hair. I mean, you've heard the expression carrot top.
Carrot top.
They call them rangers here.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Or they call them ginger in England.
True, but his hair was literally the color of carrots, and he got that a lot, and he hated it. So I probably shouldn't have brought that up.
Yeah.
But well, it's all good now.
Great people.
It's good memories.
Yes, it was. So we grew up together, we played together, and then once I started high school, and then he started high school, we started finding our own ways, and I think he started hanging out with a crowd that probably drank and started drugs a little bit earlier than the crowd that I was hanging out with. So usually it's the older sibling who was the example and gets into all the mess, and then the younger ones learn from those mistakes. Well, our family, it was a bit different because he got into the stuff before I did. And then, so I just saw what was happening to him. He'd start off, with alcohol, and then, then you go on to marijuana, and then it just kind of escalates from there. The gateways. So I saw what was happening with him, and you could see the downward spiral, like even from that. I'm talking about between grades 7 and 9.
Wow.
Yeah, it
That's
was
very young.
Yeah, come from a small town.
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot of other things to do.
Yeah.
I'm not using that as an excuse, but one bad decision made early on can have catastrophic effects later on in life. So it's just whatever decision he made when he started taking his first drug, and it escalated. And then there was, for the next several years, I mean, it was he was just going down, and you could see it happening. He was just getting in more trouble, getting really drunk at the shops, and then being brought home by in a police car, I think, because he was passed out in the food court. When you're not quite 16 or 17,
that's a big worry.
Yeah, I mean, the whole family was worried, and then, but then I went off to university, and we stayed and did his thing. Then a couple of years later, I moved to Australia with follow a girl down here and married her and stuff. And then talking to my parents, and then they tell me that my brother Chris admitted he's got a bit of a heroin addiction.
Wow.
And he admitted this to my parents, which meant that he recognized this is truly a problem. And he was actively trying to get help. But heroin's not a nice thing to get addicted to. You can't. Understatement of the year, but
It's hard to get off it, isn't it?
yeah, it's very hard to get off. And admittedly, I don't know what other drugs he was on. He was on the far side of Canada, and I was here in Australia, so there is a lot of distance. But to hear this, and then you hear your parents, you're talking with them on the phone, and they've got no idea, what do you do? I mean, what's the right decision? Because they had 2 younger kids still living with them in grade school, and they're seeing their older brother going down this road. I mean, you see him wasting away, and he's a lovely guy. I mean, the central tenet of so many religions is love thy brother.
Yeah.
I fell down on that because, man, I was really angry at him for a while because there was a lot of stuff I'm leaving out that he did with the family, and just kind of upsetted them. Disappearing for a while, and joined a circus, I think, for a little while, which was kind of interesting. But but he, as far as I'm aware, he didn't really feel that towards me. So, good job on him.
Right.
But yeah, that whatever decision it was where he started down that road, he couldn't get off it.
Yeah.
He got accepted into a withdrawal or a program to help him get out, but by that point it was a bit too late. So I was here one morning, we'd just come back from Easter, and then I got that call in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, and then it's your oldest brother telling you that your brother's passed away. Yeah, look, the circumstances are messy. It was a drug-involved incident.
And so it was an accidental overdose. You think?
I can't confirm that.
Right.
There's a lot of questions surrounding it.
Yeah.
When you're in that environment, there's a lot of things. It could have been an accidental thing. It could not have been. It's really, he was found dumped on a driveway at a house where he was staying over for the night. So it's not a glamorous lifestyle.
No.
It's messy, and a lot of the times it doesn't end well.
No.
But again, parents, what do you do? It's what's the right action? We've got this, if you're in the woods and you see a bear, what do? If you come out okay, you did the right thing.
Right.
What is the right thing? There may or may not be.
Might depend on the bear.
Well, yeah, I think it probably does depend on the bear.
So all those external circumstances are very difficult to control once you're down on that road of, drug taking and so on, because there's just too much that's left to chance. It could be how your body reacts at any one particular time to the dose that you're taking. It could be that you're using multiple substances without really realizing it. There could be a lot of reasons for it.
Yeah, you can't pinpoint it. There's so many things, and
I'm sure one of the things that you go through as a family is, could we have done something to prevent it? Did we do something wrong? All these things must, just go through your mind, because I know as a parent you that's the last thing you want to happen is, anything like that to happen to your child, and you just inevitably will question what you've done. And, and it could have nothing to do with your parenting style or what you've done or said or, like we've discussed, it could just be a combination of circumstances. You get into that lifestyle and it takes over. It's no one's fault.
Yeah, look, and that's actually the song that we'll play next is dealing with that concept of law, like what could I have done?
Yeah. So this is a song that you wrote.
Yeah, I wrote this song, a song for April, and it's because he passed away in April, so it's named such. But I was pretty sad about this, and I use music as a bit of a release for it, and so for me the song was that it was trying to, well, what could we have done differently?
Right.
I know I was all the way in Australia, but was there something I could have done? Listening to Mum and Dad, it's what could they have done? What mistakes did they do? Or, for the record, they didn't do any mistakes.
No.
They did everything they could. They were loving parents in every respect, and hindsight isn't 20/20. That's the problem. What could we have done? Personally, I don't think there was anything that they could have done that they didn't do. So this song was kind of kept with that in mind. Trying to remember. It was one decision he made that did this, that led to this dire circumstance. But like I said, he believed in God. Everybody who met him loved him. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
It's just he made that one decision, and it led down that road. But everything else around him was still filled with love, and everybody around him still liked him. He didn't treat you bad. He treated you with respect. So it was me just like, okay, this happened. It's a tragedy, but all those good things. That's what I'm going to remember.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask what if anymore. It's just this is what happened.
That sounds wonderful. Let's listen to the song, shall we?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So this is a song for April, written and performed by Michael Amon.
I'll take what's good and I'll hold it close. Consequences can kill, but I will not know. I will not know. I wash my hands from all this guilt. I'll take what's good and I'll hold it close. Consequences can kill, but I will not know. I will not know. I will not know. I will not know.
I was thinking about, what are some of the causes of people getting into drugs and things. I remember when I was a very silly teenager that, a lot of my friends were smoking, just nicotine, not anything else. But, I remember going out with them when the drive-in cinema was here, and remember them saying, come on, Lynette, have a cigarette, why, be one of us, we're all doing it, it's menthol, it's fine, and I think in those days there wasn't much about the harm that nicotine can do. And so I just bowed under their pressurizing me. It was peer pressure. I just felt like, what am I going to say to them? They're going to think I'm stupid if I say no. And I look back at that and I think, what a silly decision that was to make, and how easy it really can be. So I don't know, I think that probably education programs are things that are going to help young kids stand up to that kind of peer pressure, and be able to say no.
Yeah, I think education does help. Education is always a foundation. It makes you more confident in yourself. I know a lot of people who aren't very confident in themselves.
Yeah.
They'll fall to that peer pressure pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think once I got my driver's license, I kind of got out of that type of peer pressure because I was a designated driver for a lot of things.
Right.
And the last thing somebody wants to do is get in the car with a drunk driver.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is lose my friends to a drunk driver. So, I was the driver. My parents had a big van, we had a big family, so I could take a lot of my friends. And you know what? I did have good times at parties, and I was sober.
Yeah.
But, before I got my license, there was a lot of that peer pressure. And, I didn't have the car as an excuse for not partaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just, I don't know, I did have a little bit of alcohol every now and then.
Mm.
But it's finding a way out and
I
having
think,
that strength of character.
I think
out.
that's probably what it was. It was a lack of confidence to say no, in my case, or to want to be part of the crowd. Luckily, I think now that there is enough education around that's showing the deleterious effects of drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and so on, so that you are kind of making a conscious choice, either to do it or not to do it.
Michael, can you wanted to read a pamphlet for us?
Yeah.
One of the services?
Yeah, one of the other services within the ACT is a counseling and treatment service. They provide alcohol and other drug counseling for adults, young people, family members, and carers. And they provide support and information for family and friends of people using alcohol and drugs. The therapeutic groups including controlling your cannabis use, therapeutic recovery group, mindfulness, meditation and stress management, advanced meditation, controlling your drinking, and supporting families and friends. They have a 24-hour helpline service, which you can call for more information on 6207-9977 or on the web at www.health.act.gov.au. This counseling and treatment center, they offer professional support from a team of experienced counselors who provide a range of therapeutic treatments, including brief interventions, individual counseling, and support groups. And, we can't highlight the importance of these groups within the ACT because, if you or some member in your family have an issue, don't think you can take it on yourself. Seek help. Call these numbers and get some help for it.
Yes, well said, Michael.
Very, very good that they can offer support to the families as well.
Yeah.
Because often, it's the people who are affected, in that way, and they just don't know what to do. I imagine I wouldn't have a clue what to do. So.
Well, each person has a circle of people around them that love them, and they don't want to see this happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I thought we could have a look at some of the issues about why the Baha'i faith actually prohibits the use of intoxicating drugs and alcohol and so on. And back in 1987, the Baha'i International Community actually issued a statement in support of the United Nations International Conference on Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. And just looking down that, something that caught my eye is that in the Baha'i teachings, man is viewed as the supreme talisman, created noble. The power of thought constitutes his essential reality. Through this gift, assisted by education, a human being can reveal his full potential in the journey through this world. I just think that really struck me, that, we are created noble. And one of the hidden words of Baha'u'llah says, I have created thee noble, why dost thou abase thyself? And, really psychotropic drugs, narcotics, even alcohol, can actually, you can debase yourself very easily and very quickly. And it's just, it can be a slippery slope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So there's all those ideas that, and anything that can affect the way we think, the way our rational mind can operate. These things are ultimately not good for us.
Yes.
And can just make us do the wrong things.
Yeah, that's always been my understanding from the Baha'i perspective, why drug use is prohibited. It's, God's gift was our ability to think.
Yeah.
One of his gifts was our ability to think rationally. And, I think anybody who's, been drunk will attest. Your ability to think rationally is
goes out the window.
Significantly inhibited.
Yes, yeah.
And
that's right. You think you're having a great time, but actually, probably not.
It's diminishing your ability to think, like you said, rationally.
Yeah, I mean, you can't think rationally. You're more likely to make a stupid decision.
Yes.
Yeah, you might get in the car and drive off and have an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, no, I'm fine. I can drive straight.
And your judgment is impaired. So
exactly. So it's really awful, and it's sort of like you said, we've been given this gift of being able to think and rationalize, which animals don't really have. They're sort of slaves to their instincts, and so when we use drugs or alcohol, that's what we're doing. We are relying only on our baser instincts, and all our rational thoughts go out the window completely. And there's also another thing that when I was looking up some information on this, is that in Australia the government has a 3-pillar strategy, and this so one of the first pillars is supply reduction. And obviously this is where they probably spend the most money, and that's through things like border security, preventing illicit drugs from coming into the country, and this is why the heroin rate has gone down a lot. The second pillar is called demand reduction, and this has to do with promoting abstinence, probably educational programs and so on, and I think that they do spend a fair bit of money on that as well. And the final one is harm reduction. So this is like a safety net when pillars 1 and 2 are not so strong. And so they have programs like needle and syringe programs, safe injecting sites and things like this. Obviously that's, that you don't want to really, they have it, you have to have it. But it seems like it's kind of like bolting the stable door after the horse has gone, And the government continues to spend about 1.7 billion on its annual illicit drug response. So a lot of money, a lot of taxpayers' money, a lot of our money is spent on this, and I guess it's 1.7 million we wish we could spend on something else.
Yes,
true.
But so, let's try and do all we can to help, to counsel our friends, to counsel our children, to show them what can be the devastating effects of taking drugs and so on, and let people know that there are support groups out there and so on, and there are ways of getting off it as well. So it's a huge issue. It really is a huge issue, and apparently it's not, we used to think, it's only in the developed countries, the Western countries, so-called Western countries.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Not anymore. Yeah. It's everywhere, and it's increasing.
I know in Iran they've got a huge drug problem.
Well, they're right where the drugs are made, aren't they?
Well, the poppins from Afghanistan. Find their way into the trafficking.
So I guess, you do have to have that multi-pronged approach to stopping drugs and ensuring people don't go down that road at all. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, look, I'd like to hope it would be a lot through education. If you stop the demand, it doesn't matter how much is out there.
Yeah.
Having said that, I really wouldn't stop the attempts to stop the supply.
No.
But
no, exactly.
I think education, if we can get a lot of education out there and just let people know that, nobody's going to think less of you if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the key issue, in fact. So, yeah. Well, on that somber note, let's have another piece of music.
Sure. This next song is actually one of yours, Michael. If you want to introduce this one and tell us about it, it's the Oh God, My God.
Yeah, this one, I wrote it a long time ago. I heard my sister-in-law when she was a little kid, about 4 or 5, say this prayer, and it's really short, like about 1 sentence, and it's a short sentence at that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of Persians say these really beautiful chants, and me being English, I can't really speak Persian and chant like that. So this was kind of my attempt to do that. So I added some guitar and bass, and to make it sound a little nicer.
So this is Oh God, My God by Michael Amon.
Well, that was Michael, who's our guest today in the studio, singing one of his own compositions, and it's a prayer by Baha'u'llah.
Yes.
Yeah, oh God, my God.
So.
Yeah, my beloved, my heart's desire, that one, right? Very nice. I think you should definitely compose some more and come in again.
I'll see what I can do.
Well, we'd just like to thank Michael very much for coming in today and speaking on a very difficult subject, which was about his brother's demise from drug addiction and his family's coping with that. And it's the last thing anybody wants to happen to them. So please take steps to help and support anyone you know who's going through this problem. And there is a service called the Alcohol and Drug Service run by the ACT government. The website to look at is www.health.act.gov.au, and you can call them on 6207 9977. There are a lot of other services available, withdrawal clinics and a 7-day non-medicated withdrawal program. There's even something called Narcotics Anonymous. So just look them up on the websites and get some help before it's too late. So thanks again, Michael. And
thank you, Michael. It was
lovely to hear your music.
Wonderful to have you here.
Lovely being around such nice people.
Thank you. So from me and Masood, it's...
And Michael.
And Michael. Until next week, peace and...
Goodwill. Good night.